Hi, I'm Tony Northrup, and for Chapter 1 of my book, Stunning Digital Photography, I'd like to talk to you about making your own online portfolio. And it's not something just for pros either. Everybody needs to have a portfolio because this is key to tracking your progress and improvements as a photographer. A portfolio is how you show your best work to the world, but it's also how you keep track of your best work for yourself. And that's really important whether you're an amateur or a professional photographer, because like all artists, photographers aren't competing against each other. I certainly wouldn't want to take on Ansel Adams, right? We compete against ourselves. We're constantly trying to take a better picture than we took yesterday. And how do you know if you don't keep track of what your best work is? So many times when I meet a new photographer, they send me to their Facebook or their Flickr, or even worse, like their Twitter or Tumblr. And that's fine, that shows me their recent work, but sometimes your recent work isn't your best work, right? What if you're a wildlife photographer and you've had a couple of rough days chasing down birds and all you have are some seagulls and sparrows? Well, I might not dig through enough of your work to find those beautiful bald eagle pictures. And of course, if you're a professional photographer or you want to be a professional photographer, even if you just want to sell prints or give that a shot, portfolios are how you do that. That's the website you set up where everybody can go see your work and be super impressed and want to hire you, or browse through your pictures and find something that they want to buy a copy of. For that reason, pros absolutely need a portfolio site, but like I said, I feel like all, even moderately serious amateurs need one too, because it's such a critical part of becoming a better photographer. For a long time, setting up an online portfolio has been kind of a challenge. Like either it ended up looking kind of ugly, or you had to have a good knowledge of HTML and CSS. Well, I found a new website, Squarespace, that makes this much easier. And I recently moved my own portfolio over from my old hosting provider to Squarespace, and I've been really happy with them. So I'll walk you through my process of setting up my portfolio so you can see just how straightforward it is. First, I'll visit squarespace.com/Tony to get that 10% discount. I'll click Get Started in the middle here. They have a variety of templates here to choose from, and you can see they offer templates for more than just portfolio websites, stores, restaurants. I'm just interested in portfolios, so I'll narrow it down, and then we can browse through the different templates and get an idea of the type of style that we like. And don't worry, if you change your mind, you can always switch it later. So for me, I think I like this Wexley one here. You can preview it by clicking the View button and get a live preview. And this gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. This is nice because it shows thumbnails right away. You can scroll through it quickly and click something to get a larger preview. And it allows you to quickly jump through. So I like that design a lot. And if you scroll down a little bit, you can see all these different portfolios made with that same design. So you can see how other people are using it. And you can see even within a given design, you have a lot of different options for how it's going to be laid out. So let's browse through a couple of the other ones. Forte here starts with one single full screen image. It doesn't give you that kind of immediate gratification of browsing through the pictures, but it would engage somebody more. As you can see, the different design leads to a very different style. When you're choosing your site's template, you should pick something that vibes with your style of photography. So if you're a family portrait photographer, pick something nice and friendly. And if you're a fashion or commercial photographer, pick something sleek and modern. Whichever style you use, I want you to grab your cell phone, your smartphone, and grab the smartphone of everybody around you and make sure that the site loads and displays okay, because mobile compatibility is an absolute must. You can see the Flatiron site provides kind of the best of both worlds. Full screen immersive image with the ability to browse thumbnails for the impatient. I think Flatiron matches my style pretty well. So I'm going to click create a site like this. And here you just log in, providing your name and email. So here we are at the Content Manager page, and this is where you're going to start to configure your site and add pictures to it. And as you can see, they don't leave you without help at any point. There are little wizard dialogues that pop up and tell you exactly what you're doing and where you are. Each template starts with a set of example pages, but you have complete control of it. So I'm going to choose make a page like this and customize it myself. Now we can see within the portfolio, this particular template has multiple subfolders. So of course we don't want this photographer's pictures on there, though they're lovely. So I'll choose make a page like this and add my own. And I think I'll start with commercial. Now to add my pictures, I'll just click the Add Items button here. And you see I can just browse by thumbnail, so I'll pick some of my commercial pictures. Now I'll create a second gallery for my wildlife shots. And I'll add some of those pictures in. I can already tell I'm going to have way too many wildlife shots. I'm going to have to do some weeding. Now click View Gallery to see how everything is looking so far. I can already see one challenge is that the photos are sized so that they're scaled from left to right, and that can cause parts of the picture to be cut off. That's one of the challenges that you deal with these full screen immersive interfaces. Now, as you can see, as I squeeze the window in from the left here, the template automatically resizes it. And now that the window isn't as wide, it's scaling it from top to bottom. I can change that by selecting the options down here. Right now it says full bleed, and maybe I'll just go for center. And I'll click save to save it. So now we can see the pictures are no longer being cut off, but they're also no longer full screen. That's a choice that you have to make regardless of how you set up the site, because people have different shaped windows. People will be browsing this on their iPhone and tablets and smaller screens and wide screens. If you decide to stretch rather than center your pictures, go into the Squarespace interface and drag that little circle around to put it over the focal point of the picture. This will allow Squarespace to better center it and better decide what parts of the picture need to be cropped for the best effect. As I click the mobile apps link here, you'll see an interesting feature of Squarespace, which is the ability to control everything from a mobile device. This also gives you the really powerful ability to view your portfolio from your iPhone or iPad. Now, all of these colors that you see are completely configurable, as well as the fonts and just about every other element of it. So as you can see, this right now has a white background, but maybe I want to go a little more dramatic. I can pull this down and go black. Ooh, stark and modern. Not too hard, right? If you want to try Squarespace out on your own, use this URL. Go to squarespace.com/Tony, and that gives you your first month free and 10% off of that. You don't even need to put in a credit card for the first month. So even if you just want to play around and set up a site just to see how your pictures might look, you can do that, and they won't possibly charge you a penny because they won't have your credit card number, right? It's pretty easy to do. So let's talk a little bit more about how to pick your pictures. It's so hard to narrow down your body of work to 10 or 15 pictures, and I know this because I see a lot of people's portfolios and they have like 50, 100 pictures in there, and nobody has the patience for that anymore. Maybe back in like the 50s when people didn't have television and the internet, they'd sit there and they'd flip through page after page of photos. But nowadays, you're lucky to get people to look at 5 or 10 pictures. So you want to say put 15 pictures in your portfolio? I don't go over that. I tell people 10 because I know they're not going to be able to narrow it down that far. But I do not want to see 20 pictures, at least in one category, on your portfolio. That's too many and people won't get through them. So as you're going through your portfolio, what I like to do is use Lightroom, and I flip through and I rate pictures from 1 to 5 stars. And I reserve 5 stars for only my very best work. Then I can filter the view to see just my 5-star pictures. And at that point, I start to narrow it down further. I pick at most 1 picture from any given set. I don't want to see 2 pictures taken on the same day. Forget it. You need as much diversity in your portfolio as possible. If you have 2 pictures which are similar in any way, you need to pick the absolute best one, even though I know it's going to be painful. If you're a wildlife photographer, that means you put in 1 picture of any given species, tops. If you're a landscape photographer, that means putting in 1 picture of any given location. Just pick your best one. The sequence of your pictures in your portfolio is very important, but I can make it easy for you. Your first picture should be your best picture. Your second best picture, make it the last picture in the sequence. The first picture needs to grab somebody, but as they progress through, they're going to linger on the last picture because that's when the slideshow stops. So you don't want to put it from best to worst, or they'll be lingering on your worst picture. For everything in between, add as much variety as possible. Besides varying subjects, it's a great idea to vary processing styles too. So put in some natural color pictures in there, put in some kind of over-processed HDR style photos if you like that stuff. Mix in some black and white, maybe some sepia, especially if you're a portrait photographer and you're looking to attract some clients. You want just at least one picture in there that's gonna catch everybody's eye. And everybody has a little bit different sense of style. So there are a lot of people out there who like this kind of modern Instagram style, heavily filtered picture. And you should have at least one of those in your portfolio if you're willing to do that, just so people know, hey, I like this type of picture, this guy does this type of picture. Generally in your portfolio, you want to use horizontal pictures rather than vertical pictures because most people right now will be consuming your portfolio on a PC with a horizontal monitor, so they'll just look better. There are some pages that everybody needs on your portfolio, no matter who you are. Of course, you'll need a photos page, and you might have multiple different pages if you want to show multiple different categories of photos. You should also have an about page that says a little bit about you. If you're a professional, you'll also want a contact page that tells people where they can go and how they can get in touch with you. In fact, even for amateurs, it's a great idea to have a contacts page because I'll find that a lot of people will stumble across your pictures and they might want to buy or use one of the pictures. If you're a pro, you really need to put up a pricing page. A lot of people avoid this because they don't like to talk about money or they don't want to put a price that's too high or too low, so they want people to like call them so they can negotiate, but people don't do that. They'll look for prices, and if they don't find them, they'll just move on to the next guy. So put down some kind of pricing or you're risking losing 80% of potential customers. One of the most important parts of your portfolio is the domain name, and this is the place where a lot of people mess stuff up. Some people have really long names and they make their domain name, I don't know, JonathanWeissmullerPhotography.com, and guess what? I'm sorry, Jonathan Weissmuller, if you're out there. Nobody knows how to spell Weissmuller. And if you have one of those names where you're always spelling it to people on the phone and you're having to repeat yourself over and over again, then it doesn't make a good domain name. You should choose something simpler, something that you can relate to. I don't know, Babbling Brook Photography or WaterfordPortraits.com. If you're a professional fine arts or stock photographer, if you want to be able to sell either digital downloads or prints, you'll want a separate store on your site. I went ahead and set one up on my own Squarespace site and it works really well. And you know what? It's not that hard. It used to be setting up e-commerce required like a team of people, but I really did it in like half an hour just by dragging and dropping some stuff in and figuring out the prices. Once you set up your portfolio, you're not completely done. Of course, the fun part is taking a picture that belongs in your portfolio, revisiting your portfolio, getting rid of the worst picture and putting in your new best picture. But you also need to kind of revisit it on a regular basis to make sure, one, that the design still holds up, because design styles change on a regular basis. If you're a portrait photographer, you should make sure that the people in your portraits still have modern looking clothes. You don't want people with like mullets and acid wash jeans in there anymore. It's going to make your whole portfolio look old. But you'll want on a regular basis to update to the latest templates too, to ensure that your website remains compatible with all the different new browsers and all the different mobile devices. That's pretty easy to do with Squarespace. It's not so easy with some other portfolio providers.